Hi, my name is Paul Trani. I'm a developer evangelist for Adobe, and I want to show you how you can use actually the templates in Flash Professional. So you don't really have to write an app all from scratch. You can actually use the built-in templates to get started with mobile development. So let's go ahead and check that out. I'm going to go into Flash Pro and go to File, New. And I like the newly redesigned New Document menu. I can pick any one of these file types, change its properties, and be well on my way. But if you click over to this Templates tab, you can see that there's all these other categories with these template files in them. It's very cool being able to jump in here to go to Air for Android, select a blank document, select this accelerometer template, which will access the accelerometer. Another one accesses actually uses the options menu and actually gives you those graphics. So feel free to select any one of these and even steal some of the graphics from them. And then we also have this swipe gallery. So there's quite a few in here. And just because this says Air for Android, I can always take that Android FLA and make an iOS app out of it as well. But I'm going to start with this accelerometer template file just so we can check it out. I'll click OK. And here's the file. And if I scroll up on the stage right in here, and scroll down actually, you can see that I have the template instructions. And that's what each file has. I can go ahead and read how to modify this code. And it basically says you got to open up the Actions panel and experience and just check out the code for this template file. And essentially, based on the accelerometer, this ball will move around. In my timeline, you can see that instructions layer is a guide layer. In fact, I don't even need that anymore. I can just delete it out just like that. And in my actions layer, I'm going to go ahead and open up the actions panel just like those instructions told me to do. And notice here's all the code that basically makes this work. So you can see right in here, it uses the accelerometer and adds an event listener. So anytime the device tilts, it's going to fire off this function right down here. It's called at the the tilt of the device. That's when this function gets called. Also right down here, we have this interframe event. And this really is what moves the ball. So for this update handler, we just set the accel x and y to the acceleration x and y, these two properties of the device basically, and we apply that to the ball. So we're going to move that ball around based on the acceleration x and y. Right down here, it just sets some constraints for that ball. So if it touches the edge of the screen, then go ahead and stop the movement of the ball. Notice that this is set to 480 by 800. You can always jump in here and do stage.stage width. And that will make sure that it will always stop on the edge regardless of the size of the device. So I can jump in there and do that. Stage width. Here we go. Stage height instead of 800 right in here. So we're basically making this so it's more flexible for multiple screens. Okay, so that looks pretty good, but really, realistically, are you gonna want to publish this out? No, you want to be able to take this template and customize it and use that code, use this as a template for your own content. And that's what I'm going to do because I'm not crazy about this background either, so I can delete that layer. But what I do have, if I can paste in a layer I already have created, you can see these graphics that I want to go ahead and use in my own personal project. So I want to say, hey, you know what? Start with this template, use all the code and some of the assets to make my own project. And in this new project, instead of moving this ball around, I actually want to move around this guy on this zip line. Okay, so he's called Zipline. That's his instance name. I'm going to delete that ball in the background, and I'm going to go ahead and open up the Actions panel, and I want to replace ball with that zipline instance. So I'm selecting that word ball, and I'm going to go ahead and click Find and Replace, and I'm going to find every instance of that ball and replace it with Zipline. I'll just hit Replace All. Replaces those 21 items. I'll just give it a quick glance to make sure everything looks good. And it does look pretty good, because what I was able to do is, again, take that same code, and while the person is actually viewing this screen or reading this text, my guy in the zipline is just going to be able to kind of float around and really add sort of another level of interactivity to this app. So again, what was before just a static app, I'm able to bring it to life based on sort of the movement of this zipline guy using the accelerometer. All right, I'd say that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and save this file to my desktop, and I'll call it X Challenge. It's all about this, this challenge app that I'm working on, and now I can go ahead and publish it out. I can publish it out for iOS or Android. In this case, I'm going to publish it out to Android. It's going to go full screen, portrait. I already have a certificate set up. I can check some of these other tabs and make sure everything's good if I need to connect to the internet or anything. But this is the cool part, because I'm going to be able to install that application and launch it directly on this device. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Publish, and it will put that on my connected Android device. All right, there he is. And as I tilt my device, I can see him slide around. It is really cool how he slides around. I'm able to read the content, but this just makes for a much more dynamic experience, all using a template. All right, I'm going to move on to another one that's that can be arguably even more useful. If I go to New from Template, we have this Options menu. Again, I can use that for my project, or I can jump into this Swipe Gallery. So this is the last template I'm going to show you. Right in here, it's developed the same way. As I scroll down, you can see the template instructions, which basically says, you know, you can replace the graphics, but check out all of the code in the ActionScript panel on that layer. So again, it's the same process of you know, checking out the code and replacing the graphics. In this case, I want to replace all of these squares with images that I have. They happen to be on my desktop, so I'll jump out here to my desktop, and here are just 4 images. Take all 4 of those, and what you could do with Flash, you could literally drag, just click and drag images right into Flash Pro and start to position everything in the appropriate spot. Okay, so that's what I'm doing now. Kind of drop everything in place just like that. Replacing those graphics with my own graphics. Just like that. And taking a look at the other graphics in here as well. So lastly, I'll just remove that background, add some text. Give it a title just like that. There we are. I'd say that's looking good. And again, I can review the ActionScript, but really I don't have to change anything in here at all. If I wanted to do anything in here, I could maybe give it some more bounce based on the swiping of these images. But nonetheless, I'm just going to leave it all alone and save this as my gallery to my desktop and publish that out as well. So I'm going into Publish. Publish that out directly to my device. And here it is on my device, and all I'm going to do is swipe with my finger. I'll swipe to the left. Horizontally, I can see the second image, the third image, the fourth image. Really smooth, plays really well, and yeah, really shows off all of these images quite well. So hopefully that's really helpful. I think this is a great way to get into mobile development, is just to use the templates, take a look at the graphics, pick apart the code, reuse them all you want. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and definitely don't forget about the code snippets panel as well. You can add additional functionality to this as well. So have fun making apps in Flash Pro, and I look forward to seeing your apps on the various app markets.